Hey everyone, it's Andy here. Just wanted to do a quick update on the likely 2020 to 2021 tax season filing key dates and deadlines. I know this is going to be a pretty busy tax year given the amount of unemployment, taxes, the stimulus rebates, and all the extra refunds and likely even higher taxes for some of those people who've been trading stocks very actively this year. So next year does go back to a more normal tax year, assuming there is not another COVID outbreak. So we should return to an April 15th tax due date for those filing regular returns. But just to go back to the top, January 1st is the first day you can actually file a federal tax return through the IRS. Paper taxes initially, the e-file doesn't happen till before, but that is really the start of the tax season for your 2020 taxes filed in 2021. But really, it's January 25th or thereabouts when the IRS e-file system goes live. So that's really when most people, which is now about 90% plus Americans, who submit online through e-file. IRS starts accepting electronic tax returns for the majority of tax filers. Um, just even if you submit earlier through a paper return or you submit through your tax provider, you won't actually get processed till January 25th. So that's really, to me, the key date of the tax season. Now, this date will obviously be finalized by the IRS closer to the date, but generally, this is sort of the trend towards the end of January, the tax filing opens and the e-file system opens. And that's when people can start, submitting stuff. And generally they say refunds get paid in 2 to 3 weeks after that, so it's sort of mid-February when people start seeing refunds again. Those refunds, I have a whole separate article on IRS refund processing schedules, but generally that's the big date. Obviously, most people who have W-2s or employer forms need to wait for the employer to send them their W-2s so they can file their returns. This should be with you by February 12th, maybe even a week before. But this is the deadline. And if you haven't got your W-2, you should definitely contact your HR payroll department to resend you. And if you've had multiple jobs, you may need to reach out to them. But by this date, you should have all your W-2 from employers. It's actually mandated by the IRS. Similar, around to February 12th, you should have your 1099 statements. These are basically all your, investments, your non-banking stuff, your dividends. And this is obviously going to be pretty big for 2020, given the amount of trading that happened this year. And I'm sure a lot of people will get a much larger tax bill than they thought, especially if they had a lot of short-term capital gains. But all the brokers will start sending stuff here. Again, was more on dividends, not necessarily your stock trading. That actually is going to happen February 22nd when financial institutions mail out 1099B, 1099S, and miscellaneous forms. And I'll post some links for where you can get more details about this. This is sort of the time when you get all your dividends. So generally, by the end of February, you should have all your key tax filing documents, and 90% of Americans should be able to file a tax return through one of their preferred online providers or their accountant. March 15th is a due date for S corporation and partnerships. They need to submit their business tax returns. So a lot of self-employed small business owners, they tend to submit their personal and business returns at the same time because of the tax, taxes for S corps, for example, get passed through. So March 15th, sort of, I think, the first big tax deadline for a lot of people. But April 15th is obviously the key one for the majority of individuals and Americans. That is tax day. This year there is no extensions because this falls on a weekday. So this is the last day to file a federal tax return or apply for an extension. So you can get a 6-month extension pretty easily nowadays. This date was extended due to coronavirus outbreak last year. This year it won't be. But state state tax filing deadlines have also been extended to April 15th. You can also, April 15th is also the key date to make a contribution to your IRA or Roth IRA. So this is still for a 2020 contribution, but you have until April 15th. So by this point, you should know your income, whether you qualified for a traditional or Roth IRA, make sure your HSA, all that kind of stuff is at the right level so you don't over contribute. And then April 15th is also for those who have FBAR, is essentially for those who have international accounts, over $10,000 in total foreign bank accounts. They need to submit their FBAR form, and that's done with their tax return now. It used to be separate, but now it's done together. So, this has to be actually done by April 15th. There's no extensions allowed for this. So please, if you have overseas accounts, you need to keep that in mind. If not an issue. If you have taken an extension, then the taxes will be due September 15th. October 15th. September 15th is for those U.S. residents or resident aliens living abroad. They have to pay their taxes by September 15th because they get an automatic extension. and then October 15th is for those who have filed an extension. So those are the key dates. January 25th is, I think, the opening date. April 15th is the key date. So hopefully keep that in mind, and I'll update these dates if the IRS does change them or publishes any official updates. Thanks. Bye.